Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord, and welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we get to talk about 3 new cards: a Produce SSR for Mano, Support SSR for Kaho, and Support SSR for Meguru. Keep in mind that Mano and Kaho are both limited, and are currently being featured on a double rates SSR banner, meaning that you have a flat 10% chance to pull SSRs as opposed to 5%, and they have a normal pickup rate compared to usual limited SSRs. So if you've been saving your jewels, now's a great time to pull. Let's go ahead and get things started with Mano. Kicking off the 6 theories of SSRs for Illumination Stars, Mano is frankly ridiculous. There's virtually nothing that this Mano cannot do, as she has access to pretty much anything you would ever need in a card. AoE appeals, all stat buffing, generous damage values, memory gauge boosting, copious amounts of stat uncaps, and without a doubt the current best Produce SSR exclusive passive in the game. Even at 0 stars, Mano's a beast. Mano continues the trend of anniversary units being among some of the craziest cards in the game, sans Hiyori 3, with just how much she offers to Illumination Stars and to teams as a whole. It's no secret that Illuminae have not been faring so well in Grade Fest, and Mano is here to correct that issue directly. While her passives require some slightly more specific builds, it's still easy enough to recommend wholly, especially for fans of Mano or Illumination Stars. Her roles are Center, Buffer, Attack All, and Memory Gauge Boost, and I very highly recommend pulling for this Mano. Mano's initial skill is a Dance 2.5 appeal that attacks all judges, and follows up with a Vocal Visual 0.5 appeal to a single judge. It also applies a Vocal Dance Visual 10% buff for 3 turns, and links into a Vocal Visual 1.0 appeal. At max, this becomes a Dance 4.0 appeal to all judges, and follows up with a Vocal Visual 1.0 appeal, and a Vocal Dance Visual 30% buff for 3 turns. This links into the same Vocal Visual 1.0 appeal. Mano's 1-star passive is a Vocal Dance Visual 50% up that requires you to have an active Vocal Dance and Visual buff, so you'll need to have all 3 in order to fulfill the condition. This has a 30% chance to activate 3 times. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 75% up that also increases your memory gauge by 25%, but requires the entire Illumination Stars lineup in order to activate. So this means that Mano, Meguru, and Hiyori have to be on the stage at the same time in order to fulfill this condition. This has a 30% chance to activate 3 times, and also unlocks a Vocal Dance Visual plus 40 uncap. Her 3-star uncaps are a Dance plus 150, and Vocal Dance Visual plus 40, and her 4-star passive is a Vocal Dance Visual 100% up that requires an active Vocal Dance and Visual buff, and has a 30% chance to activate 3 times. Her memory appeal, once maxed out, is a Dance 2.5 appeal that links into a Vocal Dance Visual 1.7. For the support recommendations, off the suggestions from the reveal stream, most of what will work well with Mano are other Illumination Stars or the most recent Hokago limited supports. Both of these pair nicely with multi-stat teams and are a no-brainer for a card like Mano. For some other options, previous limited Hiyori makes sense for pairing, along with the permanent Meguru. Asahi is a great source of SP and Dance if you're hurting for it, and her Dance passives fit perfectly in the build. Kiriko is actually a player-suggested pick based off of some top-level teams because of her access to stamina skills, as well as a decent passive to avoid damage if you're going for more of a low-health strat. As for the team recommendations, again, as recommended by the director in the live stream, this team utilizes all of the latest Produce SSRs for Illumination Stars. While I would not be surprised if future Hiyori 6 blows Hiyori 5 out of the water, Meguru can probably stay for a little bit. Hiyori 3 or 4 are okay options as well if you lack Hiyori 5. There's a couple ways that you can take the alternate cards you take on the team. There's the Yuika Cannon style, which focuses on Yuika 3 alongside Kiriko 5, focusing on their buffs with their incredibly strong supports, and actually results in Yuika pulling a lot more of the weight than Mano, but Mano is also a fantastic backup for her. There's the Interest buff style team with Kaho 5 and Choco 5 to compound AoE damage, and also covers the team's slightly weak point of not having as much vocal. There's also backup choices as well, including Sakuya 4. There's also choices of Rinzai 4 or Rinzai 5 and even Rinzai 3 if you miss out on any of the Hokago or Antika pieces. You really can't go wrong with this team because of how valuable Mano, Hiyori, and Meguru are together. Mix and match and figure out which works best for you. I think it's no real surprise that Mano earns super high grades across the board. As a center, easy double S. Mano hits like a bus, let's be real. Assuming build up her dance stat, that's still a natural dance 4.2 appeal with a little vocal and visual splashed on for flavor. Once you can extend that to the rest of her stats, she skyrockets in power. And that's before even considering her 50% all stats or 100% all stats passives. Mano's going to be sticking around for a while, I can feel it. As a unit, again, double S. Mano shines best when next to Hiyori and Meguru, and her 2-star passive accentuates this trait of hers. With all her incredible appeals, passives, and stat growth available, Mano is without a doubt a complete package. She might feel a little bit clunky if you can't run her in a full Illumination start setup, but she will still output a ton of damage and apply great buffs, especially if you have her 1-star and 4-star passives. Illuminating are back. Next we have Kaho. Not to be completely outdone by Mano on the banner, Kaho arrives with her second limited support almost 2 years after her first. Much like Rinzai and Choco that came before her, she's an excellent type support, but with slight upgrades in almost all regards. Rather than raising stats directly, she can raise stat limits with her masteries, as well as even recover some stamina when completely maxed out. A new holy trinity of supports is here. Kaho's support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, and Rest Boost, and she has 5 unique support skills. Unit Mastery SP reaching +6 at level 70, Vocal Mastery Vocal Limit, Dance Mastery Dance Limit, and Visual Mastery Visual Limit, all reaching +4 at level 75. And lastly, Unit Mastery Stamina, reaching +1 at level 80. While 1 may seem a little low, it does mean it stacks with every additional member you can include on the team. So, a little more stamina recovered if you build her with more Hokago cards. Her support appeal does scale, starting at an excellent 3.0 out of the box, and becomes a 3.5 by the time she's level 80. Her TFD idea is Talk, and her insight token for Grad is Vocal. Kaho's 1-star passive is a Vocal Dance visual 30% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or earlier. This has a 20% chance to activate 3 times. Her 2-star passive is a Vocal Dance visual 50% up that requires the turn count to be 3 or later. This also has a 20% chance to activate 3 times. Her 3-star uncap is a Vocal Dance visual +75, and at 4 stars, Kaho gains access to 3 separate appeals. 1 vocal, 1 dance, and 1 visual. Using vocal as the example, it's a 4.0 appeal that applies a 30% vocal buff for 4 turns and raises your attention by 50% for 3 turns. The dance version changes it around to Dance 4.0 with a Dance 30% up, and Visual is a Visual 4.0 with a Visual 30% up. The attention 50% up stays the same across all of them. Her event uncap is a Vocal Dance visual +50. Again, Kaho, super crazy, double S, easy. Kaho is also ridiculous. They took everything that was good about Band Choco and New Year's Rinzai and made it even better. Her only real downside is that she only gets up to +125 through her stat uncaps, balanced in the fact that it's across all 3 stats instead of just 1, since a lot of our limited support SSRs for a while were reaching upwards of +250 or even 300 depending. If you already have Choco and Rinzai, they become a 3-piece terror and an incredibly stable core for any team that wants to build multi-stat. She's another fantastic support for all major game modes. I very highly recommend pulling for this Kaho if you're a fan of her or Hokago, and if you're building a multi-stat team, again, absolutely. Even outside of that, the fact that she's great for Wing, TFE, and Grad makes her a very high-value target to pull. Lastly, we have Meguru. Meguru's 7th support SSR, moving her way up the list. Primarily a visual unit, Meguru also includes a rare and appreciated mastery of Audition Mastery, in this case Mental, though this does conflict with 2019's Flower Meguru. If you lack the aforementioned Meguru, this card can help a fair bit for true end building, and is especially good for Wing. Otherwise, she's built very similarly to the previous Event May SSR. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, and Rest Boost, and she has 2 unique support skills. Visual Mastery Visual reaching +8 at level 75, and Audition Mastery Mental reaching +4 at level 80. Her support appeal scales starting at a Visual 2.5, working its way up to a 3.0 at level 80. Her TFD idea is Visual, and her insight token for Grad is Dance. Meguru's 1-star passive is a visual 18% up that requires you to be in the visual position. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a visual 35% that requires the turn count to be 4 or later. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a visual plus 50, and her 4-star appeal is a visual 2.8 that raises your visual by 30% for 3 turns. Her event passive is a visual 20% up that requires Meguru on your team, and it has a 10% chance to activate twice. Meguru earns anywhere from a B+ to an A. Meguru is another solid filler unit, much like Mei. She gets slightly higher recommendation because of the audition mastery bonus for players that focus on Wing. Since a lot of the viewers of the channel are a little bit newer, or are more experienced with Wing than TFE or Grad, I think promoting cards that are better for Wing seems a little bit more understandable, if that makes sense. I do think that is a pretty good point, and if she's good in other modes too, obviously also high marks. Again, if you already have Flower Meguru, her 3rd SSR, then this Meguru is much less necessary, but she's still a cool card to pick up. I recommend farming for this Meguru. And that will do it for the video today. Thank you again so much as always for watching. Next time we'll be talking about the upcoming banner that we actually kinda know the details of already. It's a new Produce SSR for Jury and Support SSR for Koito, both will be permanent, as well as a new Event SR for Fuyuko. Let's look forward to those 3 together. Till next time, I've been Sho, thanks for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.